Hey everyone, Cory Muscara here with Mindfulness.com. Welcome back to your weekly newsletter. In this week's newsletter, we're going to talk about how meditation can make you rich. Okay, it's not as sleazy as it might sound. We're not going to talk about how meditation makes you more money, but we will talk about how meditation might save you money, potentially a lot of money. So, while you're meditating, there's a good chance that you're not going to be making money because you're not working. So you might be generating some passive revenue. But for the most part, yeah, the time you take to meditate is time away from work. However, there's a good chance at the end of your meditation session, you'll feel less of an urge to buy that thing that you thought might fill a sense of emptiness or a void within you. And, isn't it true that we're just inundated with all of these messages about things that if we had more of them, we would feel happy? I mean, this is at the heart of advertising. We're told all the things we don't yet have. We're shown pictures of people using those things or having those things, and they look really happy. And it ingrains in us from a very early age that more things and specific things will give us a sense of fulfillment. Even if we know on like a logical level that that's not true, there's something deep within us that does have this sense that when we see that new shiny thing, or we look on Amazon or open a catalog, it's like, ooh, there's that. And it's presented to us in a particular way. And we might not be feeling great in our life, or we're still like figuring things out. That there's just this sense of like, yeah, if I had that, we now have like a vision associated with having that thing in our life. And attached to that vision is a sense of well being and happiness. But how many times have you gone through that process where there's a feeling of once I have that, then there'll be more happiness? And then you do, and maybe there's a spark of happiness, but then you're kind of left with the same neuroses you had before, the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same patterns, the same way of relating to yourself, relating to other people. You might have gotten that thing, and it might have given you a temporary boost, and maybe even some long term boost, but you're still working with the same mind and body you had before. Nothing in it really changed other than that you might have reinforced the very neuroses that say, once I have that, then I'll be happy. And that could actually lead to more suffering because you're just perpetuating this thought that happiness is somewhere outside of me once I have more things. And so the cool thing about meditation is that it is filling us up from the inside out. And it actually trains us to appreciate simplicity, to experience joy and goodness with, you could even say, renunciation. My teacher in Burma used to call this the happiness of renunciation. And I remember on a retreat I did with him, it was an extended retreat, many months. But very early on, I just felt myself. There was an initial period where I wanted all my things. I wanted my computer. I wanted my phone. Um, Not necessarily go shopping, but they were just the comforts of my life that I was very used to. And over time, and again, not a long period of time, like over the course of days, I found myself starting to transition. And there was a sweetness in the simplicity of my life, of only having so many clothes. At one point, I ordained, and so all I had was my robes and shaved my head, not having to worry about my hair and my clothes and what I'm going to wear, or even just the accumulation of things, not having to take care of many things. There was a great joy, tranquility, and peace in that process. And the sense of well being that I had really came from having a mind that was that had clarity, that had compassion, that wasn't fueling this inner torment. There was a deep sense of peace that arose, and that itself was everything. Now, coming back into the world outside of a monastic setting and outside of a retreat, the realities are that we do need things in the world. And I think a lot of people tend to fear. I know I was one of those people that, well, if I meditate all the time, does this mean I'm not going to want to achieve things or get things? I mean, I need to have some shelter. I need a car maybe to get around, and I do want some nice things, like I like maybe having some nice clothes, um, and what I found for myself through this process, and I know is true for many of my colleagues and also students, is that you tend to just start to focus more on what is essential for you in your life. A lot of times, what we perceive to be essential is just the cultural conditioning that we've been told that you need to have these things and then you'll be happy. Once we really develop that happiness from the inside out, that deep sense of fulfillment and peace, what we prioritize and where we want to put our money just starts to change. Doesn't mean that we might let everything go and become a monk or a nun. Maybe that'll be your path. But for most people, it actually looks like, you know what, I have a lot of stuff around me. And it's actually creating more tension. I have to, maintain all of it. I constantly need the next shiny thing. And when I really pay attention to that, it's actually creating agitation in me. And I'm finding that there's a deep sense of peace when I'm sitting on my meditation cushion, when maybe I don't need to tend to all of these different things. And in that way, just something starts to reorganize. Your relationship to the world around you starts to reorganize, and your desire to accumulate things starts to shift. And in this way, and one of the reasons where I'm titling this with that saying of how meditation can make you rich, is that in some ways it actually can. When you think of all the money that we send out trying to get things that will give us some sense of fulfillment, bigger apartment, bigger house, nicer car, nicer watch, nicer whatever, bigger, greater, grander, when that becomes less of a priority and your heart and your whole being is fulfilled through things that don't actually cost money, you end up saving a lot of money, and that money can be put towards things that maybe are more useful or more meaningful to you, experiences, or even donations, charities. So it's not something that's talked about as much in the meditation world. The relationship between meditation and money, I've noticed that it just tends to be more of a taboo conversation. But it's important. Money is an important part of our life. And outside of a monastic setting where we do need shelter and food, and all the things that come with, our social conditioning, like fashion, all of it can be a part of how we live our lives in the real world. But this practice can be a way for us to really get clear on what actually leads to a sense of fulfillment. And then the stuff that isn't serving us tends to fall away. And all of a sudden, you notice you do have more money to put towards things that are more purposeful for you. So I hope this gives you something to think about as you're continuing to maybe develop a meditation practice, or just think about the relationship between meditation and some of the real world needs you might have that include things like money. If you want more assistance on the journey, join us in the mindfulness.com app. There should be a link below. We have more meditations like this. There's a free version of that. And we also have a paid version that has more courses, more meditations. And the way I see it, it's an investment in your well-being that can change so many aspects of your life. And if you enjoy these videos, we have short videos like this, 3 to 4 minutes long, and lots of meditations to go deeper. So would love to have you there. Thank you for your practice. I'll talk to you next week. And until then, take care.